Welcome back. Still Politics Today right here on Channels Television. And of course, we discuss everything that has to do with governance and politics across Nigeria. And I'm sure you've been hearing a lot about when it comes to what will happen to the price of PMS, the Dangote refinery, the Port Harcourt refinery, and all of that. Well, there's a lot of questions to ask, but we're hopeful, according to the president, that things will come upstream. And who better to answer some of the questions than someone who is oversighting that particular sector of the economy. So I'm being joined from Kano studio by the member representing Doguwa Tudunwada's constituency in Kano State and the chairman House Committee on Petroleum Upstream, Mr. Alassana Doguwa. Mr. Doguwa, thank you so much for coming on the program, and thanks for your patience.
Thank you so much, my brother. It's my pleasure to be with you on this very important platform.
All right, there's a lot to talk about, but let's begin with a few things off the chest, which is, you know, if you search the internet and I search your name and I get to see, okay, I realize that you've been in the House for like 16 years, if I'm correct. So by the time you've been since 2007, please, if I'm wrong with the numbers, you can quickly correct me. By the time you end your tenure this time, if you choose not to run again, it's about 20 years. So, but I see that the last election was characterized by, forgive my numbers if they're incorrect. I see that the last election was characterized by a lot of, you know, headlines around violence, around murder allegation, around all kinds of things. But I needed you, maybe just for a starter, before we get to some of this national issue, how that is going and what has been concluded so far, because you are now in the House and you are even a former leader, a majority leader of the House.
Thank you so much for this opportunity, my brother. And for the numbers you have mentioned, you are not far away from the truth, but only some mixed up. I think to put things straight, I started in the House of Representatives as early as 1992. And that was the Babangida transition program, if you remember. And, you know, it was a short-lived transition. Of course, we were not able to finish that tenure. Probably for those who may wish to know, it was that same tenure where, with due respect to Mr. President, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, he also was a member of the National Assembly, of course in the Senate, and I was in the House of Representatives. That was when Mr. President started his electoral outing as an elected representative of the people. And at that time also I was, by God's grace, elected to represent the people of Doguwa Federal Constituency from Kano State under the Social Democratic Party, SDP. And for the crisis you have just mentioned, I think for those who are up to date, for those who follow of events as they unfold, I would like to say, without any fear of contradiction and with all sense of authority, that it was a political crisis, political shenanigans, most of which were simply embedded through what you call campaign of calumny, basically for political opponents to probably paint me black. And I wouldn't want to discuss so much. What happened has happened. What never happened did not happen. But at least at the end, I will be glad to tell Nigerians that, just like I've been saying, it was a case of blackmail. It was, of course, a case that had no basis whatsoever. A case that was simply targeted at my national ambition, probably to be in the leadership of the 10th National Assembly. I want to say, without any fear of contradiction, that going through the litigation process, right from the investigation conducted by the Kano Command of Nigeria Police, the investigation through or by the Special Investigation Team from the 1st CID headquarters from Abuja that came and also re-investigated the matter holistically. And even when we went to court at the Federal High Court in Kano here, sometimes about 4 or 5 months ago, all decisions, judgments by courts have proven me innocent. Right from day one, the Attorney General of the state government, then in the past government, came up with what you call the legal advice, and in his legal advice, I was exonerated, having no connection whatsoever with any crisis or case of murder or case of homicide in the said crisis during the election.
Okay.
And so also, we took up the matter to a competent court immediately when the new government came into power. The governor of the state, who is of course a governor of the NNPP, having known the fact that, oh, there is someone from the southern part of the state whose boundaries could not be penetrated. And that was my humble self. My boundaries could not be penetrated by any opposition party. I delivered APC right from my ward and to all other 21 wards of my federal constituency. I delivered my state assembly APC member. I delivered the second local government to APC. I also delivered my senatorial election result for my APC candidate.
If you can hear me, Honorable.
God delivered me as the member representing Doguwa to
Honorable, if you can hear me.
Of that same constituency. I want to say without any fear of...
Honorable. All right, Honorable, if you can hear me quickly, because I needed to ask that question, given the fact that, you know, we understand people died. I needed you to explain yourself in all of this. I needed you to be clear as to, because we read a lot of things about you in the media as far as this particular issue is concerned. So I need to get that clarity. But I don't know, can you hear me, sir? I just wanted to be sure you can hear me because I was trying to stop, but you were not here.
Yes,
can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. I can hear you now.
Okay, because of the fatality involved. So first and foremost, let me establish, whatever happened, people died in that incident. Am I correct, sir?
Oh, yes, it was a political crisis.
No, that's not my question. I just wanted to be, people died in that incident.
Yes.
Okay. And at no time were you seen with gun or leading any thug or anybody to go and destroy anything. I just wanted to be sure. I'm just putting facts on record. I want to tell you now that not only by my opinion, there was no circumstances whatsoever where anybody or someone saw me with a gun shooting anybody. I never shot anyone, and the courts have proven that. What I'm telling you now is a judicial position, judicial statement. I have not been seen with a gun. The report of the police did not find me culpable, and I have been exonerated by the legal advice of the State Attorney General. And as I'm speaking to you today, I have a court order from a Federal High Court, Abuja, that has stopped any further indictment or any further allegation by the government of the state or any other person in the name of that investigation, because reports have come to prove that I had no connection whatsoever to the death of that person who lost his life during the crisis. It is an NNPP shenanigans. It's an NNPP machinations wanting to simply trap me and set me up into unnecessary political crisis. And as God may have it, today I speak to you as an innocent person by judicial pronouncements, not by personal opinion or by statement of favor. Okay, all right. That's noted. I needed to ask you those direct questions because it's about getting the facts. That's why you were here. We're not going to speculate.
I appreciate these questions. I put it to you that today I am exonerated by the laws of the country. I am also exonerated by competent laws in the country.
All right. So maybe some other time we're going to... So that we don't take all the time talking about this issue. Honorable, if you can hang on. All right, Honorable, if you can, so that we don't take all the time talking about the issue. I needed to get the elephant out of the room, and you've explained your position. So let's move on to other issues. And the issue is, I just want to ask a simple question, because you are chairman of the Committee on Petroleum Upstream. First question, are you concerned about the hardship that Nigerians are going through occasioned by the policy that affects that sector?
Oh, definitely. Definitely, my brother, as a Nigerian, and as someone that is representing my own people in the federal parliament.
Go ahead. We can hear you, Honorable.
Like you have rightly said, as a member representing my people, and by extension representing Nigerian people in the Federal House of Representatives, definitely one will have to be concerned by the new policies of government, within the sector, of within the oil and gas sector, especially the hike or the withdrawal of the fuel subsidy. But when you are concerned, you need to ask some questions. What is the withdrawal of fuel subsidy meant for? And what are the economic implications of such withdrawal? In fact, when Mr. President first of all announced the withdrawal on the day of his inaugural ceremony, on the day of his oath of office, I was concerned. I felt, oh, it was not the right decision to be taken at that right time. But immediately when engagements continued, and we now begin to understand the robust concern of the Nigerian government under Bola Ahmed Tinubu, and you also reflect on the need for us to kickstart the reformatory intentions of government through the use of what you call the PIA, Petroleum Industry Bill, then definitely you would have no option than to do exactly what Mr. President did. And those of us who are his ambassadors in the periphery, in the local areas, in the states, we have gone far now in trying to let people understand, oh yes, the withdrawal of fuel subsidy is for good and for the good of Nigerian economy and for the good of Nigerian people. Ask Nigerian governors now. Go to Nigerian Governors Forum. Ask my governor in Kano State now. Ask the governor of Enugu. Ask the governor of Lagos State. They will tell you what that has reflected in terms of the money, what we call subventions, that is being released to various states through statutory transfers. What is also reflecting on the basis of transfers to local government areas through the transfer of funding from the federal government.
If I may butt in, Honorable, if you can hear me. Because I have a series of questions. The reason I asked that question is because sometimes when we see what goes on in the National Assembly, in the People's House, as it's called, in the nation's capital, it appears to people like, do these lawmakers really care about the welfare and the well-being of the people? We understand that the budget, 27.5 trillion naira, was presented by President Bola Tinubu, and there was an upward review to 28.7, which is about 1.2 upwardly reviewed trillion additionally added. And from what I see, correct me if I'm wrong, I always say that so that we are sure we're on the same data. If the National Assembly, as you say and claim, is very concerned, and your committee is concerned, being the committee that oversees that sector, we see that the National Assembly budget was reviewed upward. Is that correct, sir?
Oh yes. It was reviewed upward. It was
reviewed upward by 74%. Is that correct, sir?
What?
74% increase, 197 to 344 billion. Is that correct, sir?
Oh, it's not up to 74%. It's not up to 74%.
Okay, let's leave out the percentage. What was it and what is it now?
You see, what the president presented was slightly like between 25 to 26 trillion. And what it is precisely now on the records is about 28 trillion, which was signed by Mr. President.
No, Honorable, I'm talking about the budget. I'm talking about the budget of the National Assembly.
Or the executive arm of government is nothing but a proposal, recommendation, estimate. Then
Honorable, if you can hear me, Honorable, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, sir, I can hear you.
Yes, I was saying, but in the initial 27.5 trillion that was presented by the president as his initial proposal in the appropriation bill, yes, which now ended as 28.7, yes, how much was it that was budgeted, earmarked for the National Assembly in the first presentation? How much is it now that it has been scaled up to 28.7%? That's just my question.
Is not 28.7%. He presented 27.75 trillion, and
yes,
it's now jacked up by only 1.56 trillion. Get the records clear.
Honorable, you're not getting my point. Honorable, I'm not talking about. Honorable, just hold on. If you can hear me, please. I'm not talking about the budget size. I'm talking about the budget of the National Assembly. Every sector, every arm of government, every ministry have their budget and there are, line items. How much was the budget of the National Assembly? Yes. how much was it now increased to? It's been increased. That's what I'm asking. For the National Assembly.
Yes. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you loud and clear, sir.
Okay, great, but I'm not hearing you clearly.
Okay, Honorable, can you hear me now?
Yes.
I'm saying, how much did the government earmark for the National Assembly, and how much was it now increased to after it was reviewed upwards? I just wanted facts. How much is budgeted for NASS?
Yes. You see, what was actually budgeted for NASS by Mr. President was actually slightly lower than what we have finally passed into law. And I also want to let you understand that just like we have increased on the corpus or on the envelope of the National Assembly, of course, for very obvious and operational institutional reasons, we have also reconsidered budgeted funds for other agencies and sectors of government like Ministry of Defense, like the Police Affairs, like Ministry of Agriculture, like the Health Ministry. Our own engagement was not specifically meant for only the National Assembly. So I would want to also ask you, why do you want to put back other engagements or other increase in some other sectors, and you want to particularly ask about the National Assembly budget?
Because you're a member of the National Assembly, Honorable.
Each time
I don't have
you want
the
to speak about any issue to do with Nigeria, you focus on the National Assembly.
Yes, Honorable, I will tell you why. I will tell you why.
Reviewed for the bill for the presidency, how much we have reviewed for Ministry of Defense, how much we have reviewed for Ministry of Health and Agriculture. It's like you are asking an opinionated question. Sorry to put it back to you. And you don't have to always bring issues that will incite Nigerians unnecessarily. The money that we have increased for the funding and institutional operations of the National Assembly are justified because we have so many other legislative institutions under the National Assembly that work with us. We have the mills working under the National Assembly. We have the management under the National Assembly. We have NABRO under the National Assembly. We have our aides under the National Assembly. We also have some structural development that we have to come up to build the National Assembly so that the kind of National Assembly we have will be one that can compete with every other National Assembly anywhere in the globe.
Honorable, if you can hear me,
should not be seen as
Honorable Doguwa, if you can hear me, sir? Can you hear me, sir?
But you are breaking.
Yeah, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you.
The reason I'm asking you, first and foremost, if the president is seated where you're seated, I have the opportunity to talk to him one-on-one, I will ask him similar question that has to do with the presidency. You are a member of the National Assembly. The people see you as the people's representative. So it is only natural that the first person they will talk to is their representative. So when they see line items like National Assembly car park project costing maybe 3 billion for the Senate alone, and then for the House of Rep 3 billion, they see procurement of books for NASS library for 3 billion. Nigerians will naturally ask questions. When they see things like Recreation Center for National Assembly costing 4 billion, they will ask questions. So I hope you understand. So your responsibility coming on the show today, because you said you care about the people. So in caring for the people, we've talked about the cost of governance. And the government is bleeding in terms of our deficit is high. We just securitized 7-point-something billion. We just got crude, the money from Afrexim Bank, 2.25 billion out of the 3 billion. And it's like we're borrowing for the future. Almost we're in dire straits. So everybody has to cut costs. So seated here as a member of the National Assembly, Nigerians will want to know, what are you doing to cut costs to show that you empathize with the people? Which is why it's not as if anybody's taking on you. People are just asking, what is our people? What are the people's representative doing to cut costs to help in managing the affairs of state? Honorable Doguwa.
Yes, sir.
Did you hear all I said?
Yes, I've heard you.
Okay, I need your response because we're running out of time.
Loud and clear. Sorry, my brother, my response is to these questions is only natural to tell you that why is it that you people of the fourth estate of the Rim don't always look at the good side of our work as representative of the people, but you always look at the other side of it. If you are talking of increments of the budget of our institution as a legislature, I would like you also to see how much we have impacted in the area of security. The government brought less than 2 trillion naira for Nigerian Ministry of Defense. We have reviewed it now to over 3 billion. The government brought less than 1.5 trillion naira for education. We have reviewed that to over 2 trillion. The government brought less than 1 trillion for health sector. We have reviewed that to over 1.5 trillion naira to the health sector. So it's only natural if you look at the budget holistically and see what we have done as representative of the people. And when you insist, you want to hear from me my view as to why we have increased the National Assembly budget, it is only natural for me to explain to you that when you hear a budget for National Assembly, is not for the 109 senators of the House of Senate. It's not also for the 360 members of the House of Representatives. A budget for the National Assembly is a holistic and lump sum budget for all of the institutions, departments, and sectoral creations in what we call the National Assembly of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. When you ask of recreation, for instance, when you ask, for instance, for parking spaces for our cars, it's also logical. If you want me to work in an atmosphere that one can really bring out the best out of him, definitely I need a car parking space. I also need a recreational facility like we do see when we travel outside Nigeria in other assemblies of the world, in other parliaments. And if you go to the villa, for instance, if you go to the presidency and to the various ministries of the federal government, you will also see same parking spaces provided for their officials. Then why is it a special question from you asking that we have budgeted for our parking spaces, we have budgeted for recreational centers? We have done that in the best interest of the institution of the Nigerian legislature. We need to be up and doing. We need to be held and hearty to be able to perform optimally to the expectation of our people. We have budgeted significantly convenient for the agricultural sector. We have also budgeted significantly and responsibly for the health sector. And that means if you look at the whole budget itself, let me tell you one thing that you may not know. The whole budget of the 28-point-something trillion naira, do you know that what we have taken in the institution of the legislature is less than 2% of the whole budget?
Honorable, we can keep this conversation going, but unfortunately, we're totally out of time. We're totally out of time. But I must thank you, Honorable Alassane Doguwa, member representing Doguwa Tudunwada State Constituency, and the chairman, House Committee on Petroleum Upstream. Honorable, thank you so much for coming. I'm sure we're going to bring you back because there's a lot the people want to ask from their representatives.